just in case you don't know, in the Corolla underneath the mat, you're going to find the jack that you can use. And you'll want to block the front tires so that it doesn't roll, because you can't use the e-brake when you're changing the back drum brakes. Now, this is a 2003 Toyota Corolla, but you'll find that these parts are going to be similar with different models. Now I got to tell you, there are kits that you can use to replace this entire system for a disc brake system that you might be more familiar with. So if you plan on owning the car a while and maybe doing a few more brake changes, it could be worth your while to look into that system and just do a total swap. On this model of drum brake, there are these threaded bolts. I'll put the diameter in the description so you can find it at the hardware store if you want to get some of these. And you can use this to pry off the drum. The problem with this one though is that the shoes have worn a groove into the drum, so it's just keeping it totally locked in. So I'm using a screwdriver here, trying to release the shoes from the inside groove of the drum, and that's how to do it. You might find that this is the most difficult part of your whole job here, so don't be too put off if you're frustrated by this part. It can be frustrating. Now before you get going on any of this, you want to take a few photos. That way you can really know where to put your springs and all these parts back in place, because you're going to find your memory is going to fail you, especially if the job gets interrupted. So take some photos and have them on hand. Now I'm using some brake cleaner. I just want to knock down all this dust. You do not want to breathe brake dust in or really get it around. So have this stuff on hand and use it every once in a while throughout the process. So I'm going to start by removing this lower spring, and you can either use pliers or a screwdriver to help pry it off. And this part here needs to come off by a 90-degree turn. You can see when I'm pushing it, it moves the pin on the other side. So you can do it by hand, or you can do some needle nose, push in and twist, and it should come off. Close up, you can see I'm going to push, turn, and it comes right off. Real easy. And then you do the same thing for the other side. Then you can remove the top springs, use some needle nose or whatever you want. After taking this off, I can see my brake cylinder is leaking. So if yours looks like this and you can see brake fluid coming out, you'll need to replace yours too, and I'll put a video on that separately so you don't have to watch the whole thing now. Just check out my other videos and you can see how to do that. Now I'm going to remove the e-brake cable from this arm, and it's kind of spring loaded, so you have to pull and slip it out of the groove. Here's the new brake shoes. You can see that I need to move this arm onto the new shoe. So I'm using vice grips just to push it off, and a screwdriver to finish the job. I'll take the pliers again to push it on, and then you just bend the little horseshoe piece a little closer together so it stays clamped on. And after you're done, reattach it back to the cable. Now fold it up like this and place this shoe on the side right here. Then take the opposite shoe, and we're going to put in the top spring. So this little bent side of the spring goes through this hole and kind of stays on like that. It's a little weird. And you're going to put the hook side through this hole here, through the back, and then kind of place them like this. You might have to watch this part a few times. Then I'm going to put the top of these shoes in the grooves of the metal of the cylinder on both sides. It's a little tricky. Something like that. Now we're going to reinstall this little arm and gear, and there is a left and right, so if you get a pack of these, make sure you're putting on the right parts. You can see right here stamped a little R. You can also see these grooves here, and it's important to put the grooves in the right part. The big groove goes on the shoe. I can come in from underneath, put it in that little slot there, and then I'm going to put in the other side in the big groove. See this? That's in the little groove. That's wrong. So I need to take this out and move it to the correct groove. It should look just like that. Now I'm going to move down, insert the pins, springs, and retaining clips. You can get a kit with all of these parts specifically, and I'll put that in the description as well. I bought all my parts from rockauto.com, and I didn't really have any trouble with them. You can select your specific car, make and model, and it'll show you all the parts that are available for that car. So it's pretty easy. I've had a good experience ordering from them before. Now when we do the bottom spring, first make sure that each shoe is behind this little metal plate. There's kind of this groove in there. And once it is, then you can put the spring on. You grab the spring with some pliers, put it in the hole, stretch it all the way across to the other hole. Now we're putting this little lever on, and that slips over this pin into the groove. Just kind of hangs there. Then you insert this spring. You can see the little kind of hook. It's going to go in that hole. And you can take your pliers, stretch it across and into that hole there. And you can see this kind of is a screw ratcheting gear system, but you're going to want this screwed fairly close together so that you can get your drum back on, and then we'll wind the gear out a bit later. You can see on my old drum it had a groove worn in pretty good, so this definitely has to be replaced. And remember, when you're doing one side, you should do the other, so I bought duplicate for the other side. Alright, well, I got a little bit of grease and things around here, so I'm going to clean this off again with a little brake cleaner. So when you put the drum on, you're going to want to feel slight resistance when you spin it. If you don't, open it back up and adjust the gear so it pushes the shoes outward. Try it again, and you should feel just a little bit of resistance. And that way you know it's good. So if you're going to replace your drum, you're going to want to replace both of them. If you're going to do your brakes, just do the other side as well. Don't do one side of a car and then not the other. If you have any suggestions on what I could do better, or comments that would help other viewers, things I missed, anything like that, please leave it in the comment section. And that's going to do it. Good luck. Have an awesome day.
It's moving.
What are you doing? Tell Mom that you brought the car down all by yourself.